Hey guys, welcome back to SLT Learning, and this is Ankit Prajapati, and today we gonna cover another 10 questions for Playwright interview for automation engineer. Okay, so I we got like couple of interview scheduled, and we gonna record those call as a mock interview for a video call, and we will upload in our YouTube channel for your reference purpose. Couple of the candidate has asked to schedule the mock interview with our expert, and we have scheduled them. So those are the question also will be from this like the 100 questions that we are going to cover in this playlist for Playwright. So it will help to gain the confidence when you appear in a video interview. So that's why we have started to help the candidate if they wants to evaluate their knowledge, right? If they want to know their like the I will just say strength and minus point during the interview, you can schedule your call with our expert. Okay, so let's go further and see what are the next 10 questions that we're going to cover in this part. So these are the things that we're going to cover, like how to skip the test case, what is the and explain the architecture of the Playwright, right? What are the key component, then how to run a test in a UI and non-UI mode, how to use tag and annotation in test, how to run a test from the different directories together, what is session management and how you can manage that part. Playwright handle the browser context and why it is important, then explain the concept of auto waiting and authentication tokens. Okay, so these are the 10 questions that we're going to cover in the part 6. So let's go one by one on the questions. So how to skip the test case from the execution. So there are a different way of doing that doing these particular things. Okay, but the method will be always same, dot skip method. You can use dot skip method, but it's depend on how you want to skip. You want to skip the entire test suite, or you want to add the additional conditional test case to skip, or you want to skip totally a single test case. So this is what the syntax look like, test dot skip, and then you can provide your test method over here. So when you execute your test suite, this particular test will not get executed. Okay, suppose you want to provide the conditional skip. Okay, you want to make sure certain condition to be false or true, then and then that test case will be executed. Then you can provide like this way, browser name should not be equal to Chromium, then it will run on a Chromium only. Okay, then skip a test case. So how you can skip a test suite completely? So whatever, if you define like this way, test dot describe dot skip, this means it will not execute this test suite at all. So whatever the test case you have written under that, all the test case will be get skipped. Okay, then you can also use tag, like this is at the smoke tag that we have added in a test case title, and when you run this particular one, so you can provide your tag name over here like npx playwright test hyphen grep smoke. So what it will do, it will execute all the test case which contain this smoke tag. Okay, we will discuss more about this part in our tagging and all those things that when we discuss in the next question. But this is how you can, another way you can skip the test case. Okay, then this is the quick summary. If you want to skip a test, what you can do, test dot skip. If you want to skip a test suite, test dot describe dot skip. Conditional skip, test dot skip, then put the condition and the reason of the condition and filter by tag. Okay, so the next question will be the explain the architecture. This is very rare for the freshers, they will ask, but for experienced candidate they will definitely ask this question. So you can just simply say the structure and the architecture will look like the similar that we have seen in the Selenium and other Cypress and other things, right? So we have one side our client and another side the browser that we need to automate with the commands. And in the like the Selenium we use the SiliSense, right? The Selenium command, Selenium library. Over here we use the Playwright library and the protocol that has been defined in a WebSocket connection. We use that particular things to interact with the Playwright server, and then Playwright server will convert your programming language command and make it like the make it I would just say is the readable for the browser to perform the actions, and whatever the response it will come, it will send you the response accordingly. Okay, so one connection established for all the command unless it's disconnect by the client or server. So once the connection is established, you no need to make the connection again and again. Then you can perform all your script and all your executions together. So one side, all the this is the client machine where you can use the programming language to write your automation script, and when you hit the Playwright server, what it will do, it will convert your automation script in a browser readable mode, and using the Playwright protocol, and it will instruct the browser to perform the same steps, and whatever the result, whatever the HTML report or whatever the things that you have tried to capture, it will capture back to the resource folder. Okay, so simple way, this is how this architecture look like. But I have divided this question in a two part. This is the diagram that we can simply see to get the understanding about the architecture, and the key component. These are the key component of the I will just say for the architecture. So first things that will come, the test script. So your test code, okay, you might be written in your JavaScript, TypeScript, or using any other language where you provide your all the actions, command, assertion, and test logic. So this is the one component of your the architecture. And once this is done, what you can do, you can use Playwright test runner, like the Playwright command line argument npx Playwright test, that help you to do the parallel testing. Then it will help to generate the reports. Then you can also utilize the fixture to set up the browser and page, and then you can also set up the retry logic and prove the context to make it isolation. Okay, so these are the key features of the test runner. Then it comes the Playwright client library. If you remember, right, when you write the test in a Playwright, we need to import this particular library, Playwright Playwright/test. So this will give you the all the commands for the Playwright that you can use, and you can you can send the commands to the browser over the WebSocket, and to make sure the browser will understand your command and it will perform the actions accordingly. Okay, so in a simple way, this help to convert your test command into the protocol level instruction for the browser. Okay, then we will have another component, browser server. This we also consider drivers layer. Okay, and over here where we launch our browser server, and this will help the driver to connect to the actual browser and perform all the actions either in a headless or in a headed mode. Okay, then it's come browser context and page. We already know, because couple of questions related to the context and page we have already covered. The browser context is like a new incognito session which contain the separate I will just say cookie and the session information, and that help us to do the multiple page or parallel testing in a one particular context. Okay, then automation engine, all the actions and command will be managed by the automation structure, the framework that you have created, and the artifacts and reports. So all the images, report, and video that you're gonna store, those kind of things will help to perform that particular information. Okay, and key things about the architecture of Playwright, like the cross-browser testing is possible, parallel execution is possible, auto waiting is a smart, and the smart retry logic, then trace and video capture, and network mocking. So these are the key things using the architecture of the Playwright you can achieve. Okay, so the next question will be the what are the main key component of the Playwright. Okay, so when we says key component of the Playwright, then you need to always make sure you understand the question correctly. Okay, you need to say, okay, in term of the architecture or in term of the functionality. So in term of the functionality, I will just say three main component, and this we have already seen. First things will be browser, then browser context, and the page. Why this question and this particular questions is coming in a different way? Because this is very crucial to understand when you work with the Playwright. This is very crucial to understand the functionality of these three terms. Okay, so first you set up your browser using the playwright.chromium.launch headless mode or headed mode. Then for this browser you set up the context, and what the context will help, context will create the incognito or the isolated tab or the browser for your particular application, where you can do all your testing, and it will make sure it will separate the cookies and storage and caches and all those information for that particular tab only. Okay, so it will help us to enable the parallel testing without using the multiple browser. In a single browser you can do the parallel testing if you use the different context for that particular browser. Okay, then at the end we come with the page is nothing but it's a, I will just say it represents a specific page or specific tab of the browser, right, where you can perform your all the Playwright command, like go to the URL, then click on the URL, enter the username and password, and all your navigation and interaction and assertion you perform over here. Okay, so this is the things that you need to always make sure when you answer the key component, what is browser, what is browser context, or what is page. They might be ask you what is the difference between these three of them. So based on that you can filter your answer, and you can make your answer and just answer accordingly in your interview question. Okay guys, so the next question, how you run in a UI and non-UI mode. This is something very simple. You know the default run will be always headless, and the run with the headed mode you need to add this particular tag hyphen headed. So npx playwright test, that is the headless mode, and npx playwright test hyphen headed, that will be make the browser visible, and this is in the headed mode. These are the cues, few shortcut that you can always remember the syntax, like how you can enable the debug UI plus inspector. So you can use pw debug is equal to 1, then your running command npx playwright test, and this will make the debug enabled to debug the code. Okay. How to add a tags and annotation, this is one of the crucial things that we have seen, like when we was talking about the skipping the test case. You can use the tag, and where you can use the tag, you can use the tag itself on your title. Okay, when you're defining your test case, you can use the tag itself over there. So login test smock, you see this is the tag we have used, and using this smock you can execute like this way: playwright test hyphen grab smock, means it will execute all the test cases which contain the tag smock. Okay. Another way, add the annotation with .info API. So this is the info API, like test.info. So you can enable this test.info, and using that test.info you can set up the type, you can put the annotations, right? What are the different annotations you need to put, and like this way you can add the annotations. There are multiple annotations in a playwright, but this is how you can enable it: test.annotations.push. Okay. Use the skip command, use the fix me, only, or fail annotations, which will I will just say serve the different purpose. Skip will skip it, only means only execute that particular test case, fail means that is you can fail that particular test case as it is a known bug already raised for that one. So like this way you can execute your test case with the different tags and different annotations. So over here let's see the example of multiple annotations. So over here you can see check out for this is a regression and smoke. So both the tag has been assigned over here, and then test info is also there. So test info dot annotations type is equal to features, description is equal to checkout, and type is equal to priority, and description equal to high, means this is the checkout feature with the high priority case for the regression and smoke. Okay. So suppose if you want to run it like this way, you see checkout, or it just says npx playwright grab at the rate checkout, means you need to provide in a double inverted comma, and you can take it this particular feature. So checkout, so this will be get executed, and similar way invert grab hyphen invert slow, so it will be take like this way, you see type slow, so this will consider for this one. Okay. So this is how you can perform this particular test cases using the annotation and tag in a playwright. And these are the different I will just say the tags or the annotation function that will help you to do the execution of your test cases. How to run the test from the different directories. Okay, suppose you want to write you are gonna write, this command, right? npx playwright test. Now you see this is the first directory, test hyphen login. So whatever the login test case it gonna execute, then also test slash dashboard, means whatever the test case come under the dashboard folder it gonna execute. So this both the directory test case will start executing together when you provide your command line like this way. Okay. And if you want to run a specific file, what you can do, you can just say npx test, then this is the API directory, and then this is the another directory test hyphen ui and login dot spec dot ts, means it will, for this one it will execute all the test case under the API folder, and for this one it will execute only login dot specs dot ts. Okay. Use a global pattern. So how you can use the global pattern, so like this way you can provide like npx playwright test slash under the test folder. So login and checkout, whatever you found for the login and checkout, you can go and find the keyword login and checkout or a tag login and checkout, then you can find that particular file name or anything. If you found, then you can execute that particular test case. Okay. So this is another way you can see all the test cases with either the file name or the tag has been applied as login or checkout, it will fetch and it will execute that particular things. Another way how you can specify the folder, if you want to make the folder default in your playwright config, this is the syntax you can use if they will ask you how you can decide the root directory in the playwright. Okay, so it just says in a playwright.config.ts we can use test direct, where we can provide our root directory, and for the project we can provide the name, and the test match we can provide the specific file names and the folder name like this way. So it will be take dot test slash login then slash dashboard. So this will be always a root directory, and this will be the another test matching. So whatever the test case will match to these particular things, it will take and gonna execute that part. Okay. So in a summary, Run a to folder, you know the to folder, you need to provide directory 1 and directory 2. Run a specific file, you can provide the specific file name. Use a global pattern, so you can use like the pattern like this way. The configure test match, this is the configuring the test match in your playwright.config, which will execute the test cases for this particular matches. Okay, and filter by the tag, this is the tag name that we use to filter by a tag. Handle the authentication token and CSRF tokens. So how these things will work? So I think in the one of the previous questions we have already seen, when we use the login API, right, we store those information in a request context, and whatever the token will come, we store in a response.json, and then we utilize that JSON file to fetch the token information. So you can see the syntax, get the authentication token. So you will have the request context, right, new context, then you will see the response, and you are trying to hit your login API with the API, then username and password, and whatever the response will come, you convert into the JSON file for the body, and from this body you fetch the token. Okay, so this is how you can fetch the token, and then you can utilize this token to inject in your local storage or the header, and you can execute your test case. So this is the another way you can inject. You see, await page dot evaluate token and local storage set item authentication token is equal to token. This is how you can set up your token in your I will just say the local storage, and you can utilize that particular things in your test cases, and you can store this information under the JSON file that we have already seen. Okay, and use this when the token is stored in a local storage and session storage or injected in a header. So this is how you can just says await page.context storage path authentication.json, and this is another way you can use the new context and authentication JSON. So this will enable the token for you. Okay, so this is the one way handling the authentication token, like a JWT or barrier token. You can fetch the token, you can find the token and store the token under the local storage, and then utilize that local storage for JSON authentication JSON in your test cases. Now another way how to handle the CRF token. So what is CSRF? It's cross-site request forgery, right? Forgery means something happening on a false purpose. So this is the token that get in a different way. Sometimes it will become under the in a form element itself, or it sometimes it's come in the cookie way, or sometimes in a required in a header for a post request. So these are the different way you can find the CRF token, and this is the way you can fetch them, right? If you want to extract from the HTML form, you can just says constant CSRF token, then it just says get attribute, and whatever the name, whenever you see the name like this way, you can fetch the value and store over here. If you want to extract from cookie, so what you can just is context.cookies and CRFS cookies.find, the CNAME will be CSRF token, something like that way will be found, then it will be fetch the value. So this is the different way to fetch the CSRF token from the HTML and the cookies. So sometimes they might ask you this syntax. Okay, this is the useful syntax. So sometimes like this XPath will be not the same way, but you can write any XPath in your interview, they will understand. The main thing will be the page dot get attribute, and then the first XPath and the value of that XPath, and over here from the cookies.find, you need to first define the cookies from context, then cookies.find, and this is the syntax you can put. Okay, so authentication token, how you can get? You get via API and set under the local storage or header. Then save authentication session, you can save the context.storage session and reuse in a JSON file. You can store in a JSON file and you can reuse it. Okay, CSRF token in form, you can use get attribute. CSRF token in cookies, you can use context.cookies, and use CSRF token request in a header. You can add in a header. These are the header you can add in your API call or in your automation test. Okay, so this is the way you can handle the tokens and CSRF token in Playwright, guys. Session management or maintaining the logged in state in Playwright. So this is again similar way that we have talked about the token, where you need to save your session. So after performing login, right, if you want to maintain the login state, then you can use storage state, and you can use that storage state, you can put in a JSON, and you can utilize the saved cookie and cache information to perform the other test cases. Okay, so perform a login and save the session state. So this is what the context. So once you perform the login, where you can save page.context.storage state, path will be this one. So after the login code, this particular code you need to write, that will save the session state like cookie and local information into this particular JSON. Then once this particular JSON will be stored, you can run your command, you can run your login script, and when you finish your login script, it will save the authentication.json, the local storage and cookie information. And then you can use this particular auth.json. You see, you can just configure this one in your playwright.config, and you can utilize this one export default define config use storage state is equal to authentic.json. So this is going to be useful when you perform the other test case, or you want to use in a particular test case directly, you can use like test.use storage state authentication.json, and then you can write your test case at the bottom, and you no need to provide login information, or you no need to perform the login. It will be automatically perform the login. So over here you see your app.com -dashboard. So we are not going to the login page, we are directly hitting the dashboard page, because the session has been managed by this particular line of code. Okay, and how it works behind the scene. So storage state will save the cookies and local storage and automatically restore when the text context will start. So when the browser context will start, it will automatically fetch the information of login and authentication from the cookies and the local storage. Okay, so login.step.js, this is the first file you need to create a login, which will be login and generate the authentication.json, and this store the storage state in a test and reuse in a login session. Then context.storage state will save the session after the login and use multiple file, simulate the different user roles. So you can utilize like this way as well, okay, in your test case, or you can define in your config file as well. Okay, so you can define the use storage.state in all the test case. You can use the storage.test like this way, authentication.json. Otherwise, if you want to use in a single test case, you can also put this line to utilize in a single test case. So this is how the session will manage in a Playwright. Okay, storage state, this word need to be remembered, and this is how you can store the page.context.storage state. So cookies and all those things always depend on a context, so that's why we use page.context, guys, always make sure. Okay, explain the concept of auto waiting in a Playwright. Okay, so you know, right, in a Playwright, the one of the difference, when we talk about the difference as well between the Selenium and Playwright, so we always take this as a benchmark, like the in Selenium we need to use different kind of weights, but in Playwright we have the auto waiting. So what is the auto waiting, how exactly it's work? So auto waiting is one of the powerful features in Playwright. It's automatically wait for the element to perform the certain actions. So Playwright has defined certain actions for element like clicking, filling, typing, or doing the assertions. So those kind of the actions, it will be automatically wait. You don't need to provide the explicit wait or implicit wait for those kind of things. Okay, so what is auto wait? In a Playwright, we does not click immediately. Instead, automatically wait until certain things will happen to the element, like the element is attached to the DOM. So these are the checks that Playwright auto wait will do, automatically check. Okay, automatically verify this information. If the element is attached, if element is visible, if element is enabled, or if element is stable. So when this condition become true for the element, then and then Playwright or perform the next action like a click or fill or type or expect. Okay, so this is one of the crucial things. You don't need to write the implicit or explicit wait, and this is why, because if you have seen in Selenium and other automation I will just say library, right, the page synchronization is one of the major headache for the automation engineer. So that's why if you manage these things, then most of your like element not found and page not loaded and element not visible, those kind of the exception, right, or those kind of the hurdle will automatically resolved. So that's why Playwright has implemented these things auto wait in inbuilt functionality, where it's gonna wait for certain condition rather before performing any immediate action. Okay, so well, what are the actions used in auto waiting? So this is the question. Okay, this is the question they might want to be asked. So can you give us like 3 to 4 actions that are part of the auto waiting for the Playwright? So you can just say click on the button or a link, fill the input, type, mouse over, then double click, then expect like a assertion, then go to and page navigation. So all those actions will be automated in a Playwright. Okay, So these are the certain benefits, right? You know, manually wait needed, so you no need to provide manually wait. That is one of the crucial things. Improve the reliability means you know your application, your code will be automatically waited for certain amount of actions, or certain amount of condition will become true, then and then that action will be happen. So you no need to worry, and it will be easy to write your code, and it's easy for other to read. Then like less frequently test means it's, I will just say the test case will be always, always not always, but 99.99% it's gonna be passed on a performing the actions, okay, not on validation but performing the action. You will see the cleaner code and built-in retries. So you will also set up the automatic retry until the timeout will happen, okay. So these are the auto waiting. So you can answer like this, that way what is auto wait, and this is the different condition will be for, okay. Then handle the authentication token. I think this part we have already covered, but this is the another way, like how you can handle these things, okay. So over here I have put certain options, and in a different way, this is, you can see, you can utilize these particular things for the cross browser testing, like handling the authentication. So first you need to set up your response body, then you need to set up your all the token, the response body dot token into the context, and then utilize those information over here. Then this token you can store into the authentication.json, and you can set up in a context, a browser context mode. Then setting up the token in a local browser or a cookies. So this is the local storage and set item. So this is the command that we have not seen in previous question, but this is how you can set up when you are writing your automation code. Like this is the before each means, this is one of the, I will just is the hook that we're going to use for. So before everything, okay, before each and every test case, you can gonna do this one. So local storage dot set item token is equal to your token name over here, okay. And handling the CSRF token, like cross-site frequency forgery. These are the different type. It came, you know, it came in a HTML form, in a cookie form, or in a API request itself. So how you can fetch that information from the API call, like, or from the HTML, you can use the get attribute and the content. You can provide the CSRF token in your API call as well when you post or submit to the application. This is how you can use this particular syntax in a header. If you remember, in previous question we have not showed the syntax of the header, but over here this is how you can pass into your API call as well. When you are doing the post call to submit a form, you can put the headers, and you can provide your CSRF token which you have fetched from the HTML content, and then it will be handle the login operation automatically. So these are the different way: authentication token, API login plus save the token in storage, token via local storage, page.evaluate, token via cookies, context.add cookies, CSRS meta tag means page.evaluate and CSRS cookies. Then read the context.cookies and mock and bypass CSRS means you can route, you can use the route and to be skip the particular CSRS token. So how to handle the tokens and CSRS token, you can answer like this way, okay. So far we have covered the 16 questions in Playwright interview automation series. We're gonna cover most of the company based now. Like after the Playwright's playlist finish, we will cover the different major company like Infosys, TCS and all those things, and what kind of the interview questions they're gonna ask. If you think, if you have appeared to any of the interview, and if you have a list of questions, you can just let us know. We will prepare the detailed video with the syntax and with the bit of description to save your time, and you can watch this video whenever your interview, or whenever you are gonna appearing for that interview, okay. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching this video.